Yeah.
You've seen us get our ass kicked. You've seen us launch Hank's car, have some fun. You've seen Hank clown on me with some styrofoam over a curb. But all in all, this is what makes his company, his kit for the RS3, for the TTRS tick. It's gonna be the 3 options, and we wanted to showcase it with you, and one better person to explain it than Hank himself. So here we are.
Yeah. So I mean, as he explained, 5 cylinders are truly our passion. You know, we did the MQB 4-cylinder kits because we knew we could be fast, but we really just love these 5 cylinders. And you know, when we found out they're coming out with a new motor for the RS3 and TTRS, we contacted people at Borg Warner that helped us get a hold of the turbos a lot sooner than even the cars were out. So we've had these turbos for almost 18 months now, way more than the cars have been out. And you know, they sent us these turbos, and we started working with XONA Rotor to improve upon the base turbo, which is a really cool unit from Borg Warner. Has a billet wheel on it.
And that is the factory turbo,
it's
right?
It's a factory turbo.
With a billet wheel, wow.
It's literally an EFR 67mm exducer compressor wheel that they've just reverse rotationed on. So super cool tech on the stock turbo, and you know, that's why those cars are so fast with just flashes on them, because it's a fantastic turbo right out of the box.
And we made, on 91, we made 440 wheel and change, 480 wheel torque on just a factory turbocharger so far, and the car just rips.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic little unit. So, you know, it was quite a bit of work to be able to improve upon that. So what we did is we worked with our friends at XONA Rotor, and we developed this unit. And what it is just a little bit bigger compressor. It's a 7-blade, so a little bit better high pressure ratio, which, you know, we're turning the boost up on these. And then it's got a full billet cartridge in it. With better cooling, dual piston rings. It's just a really, really advanced unit, ball bearing, and then larger turbines as well compared to the OEM unit.
So would this bolt up to the factory downpipe if someone just wanted to upgrade to a hybrid
Absolutely.
turbo?
Yeah, so
okay,
these are cool. These are doing about 560 wheel horsepower on E85, which, you know, puts about 60 wheel on the stock turbo. But what the cool thing about it is it's just stock location, and the other cool part about it is that these things spool nearly identical to the stock unit within a couple hundred RPM. So if a guy's saying, you know, I need stock spool, that's it. That guy is going to be fantastic for those people, and it's still going to be a car that's going to go low 10s in the quarter mile without issues.
That's badass.
So really cool unit, full plug and play, drop it in. If you're in a place that has visual emissions that you have to see the stock stuff, a lot of that stuff's happening in Europe. You know, that's a unit that if you can't have a tubular manifold like this is going to be, you know, this is going to be a really cool unit for a lot of people. For guys that are nuts like you and I,
I think that's lightly putting it, Hank.
60 wheel horsepower is just not enough. You know, we want to be able to blow off turboed R8s and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll get there. So we picked on a V10 R8 our first 2 days of being stage 2 on 91 octane, and we pulled him. We're not gonna say whose R8 it was because he's a friend of ours, but we pulled on him pretty good. Love you very much, but we pulled on him pretty good. But I did get my ass handed to me by a supercharged R8, and that's why I'm back here to take a look at Iroz's inventory to get a big turbo kit. But the hybrid is an amazing choice. It's an obvious choice. You can make great power, but we drove a car with this turbo on it. If you could tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at that.
So yeah, well, the cool thing about these is that you know, I have this analogy with when people ask me about hybrids versus full frames, and I'm pretty addicted to Dr. Pepper, like 44 ounces. And you know, you can get a 44 ouncer and it has the same straw as like the little 25 ounce, 24 ouncer, you know, little teeny guys. So it doesn't really matter how much of a cup you have, you still suck it out of the same straw. And that's the hybrid scenario. It doesn't matter how big of wheels you put in these things. At some point, you still got to suck it through this straw here, which is the hot side, you know, the AR ratio. And so when it gets to a certain level of power, you just need to start getting bigger straws. You need to start being able to get more drink out of the cup. And that's where these Xona rotors are being used. Super cool designs, just loaded with tech. They have, you know, printed Inconel lever arms, printed Inconel diffusers to help the gas swirl out of it. Internally wastegated, but these aren't like the wastegates of old, you know, T3 days. These are turbos that have enough wastegate to handle 1,000 horsepower if needs be. Still same cool billet cartridge on them, with really nice seals. If you look down there on the oil inlet, it's got a filter in there. So if anything were ever to happen, you wouldn't hurt your turbo as well. They call it a last ditch effort oil filter.
So not only are you upgrading the cup, you're also getting a bigger straw with this, with the tubular manifold.
So to be able to collect it and all that, we just get this really nice, everything's manufactured here in our facility. We're extremely picky about quality control. George, we've done over, you know, since we have been in business, we've done over 600 manifolds for the TTRS and the old school 2.2 liter.
Got it.
We've never had a failure, period. No cracks, nothing. So people always ask us why we don't cast them, and I think we can do just as good of a job and with our very proven system of making manifolds. So we got this really nice manifold, cool turbo, and then we just have big downpipes that get rid of all the gas coming out of there.
Now let me tell you guys something. So I have Hank's, or Iroz Motorsports' big downpipe, mid-pipe, and intercooler currently on the car, and it changed the sound tremendously. But when we were getting gapped by Hank here, I noticed that his RS3 was making a different sound than mine. That's a bigger downpipe than what I got.
It is, yep, it is. And back to the straw analogy, when you can get the gas out through a big straw, it just gets louder. So we measure decibels in our shop just to make sure that we're within safety. And when we go wide open throttle from this to this, we pick up 11 decibels worth of noise. So it's louder because you're not restricting it through a teeny little turbo like we are with the stock one.
And you're letting her sing the song of her people. That's right.
Yeah. What I think is really cool with our kits are these oil line kits. You know, we spend a little extra money and a little extra time with making hard lines.
Badass. Because
these turbos live in a really harsh environment next to turbines, and we want to make sure that there's no chance of anything catching fire or weakening. We make sure that everything's protected. Actually goes the other way. We want to make sure that there's no chance that we're getting you know, oil failures. People are on road trips or whatever, many miles from home and having failures. So we make sure everything's hardlined.
As we mentioned before, right now, your car's the only running this kit. Mine's going to be number 2, and there's a slew of other people that are right behind me, literally within the next coming weeks, getting the full frame Xona Rotor turbo kit. As far as the hybrid, where do you see that going in terms of comparisons? Now, we didn't have a car here ready with the hybrid to race it. We raced my stock turbo compared to your big turbo, but would someone with the hybrid be just as competitive than with your big turbo kit? So let's say if we were chasing supercharged R8s, what would I better equip myself with?
Oh, for sure this.
The full frame kit?
Yeah, this is, the hybrids are really cool, but it's a compromise. Hybrids will always be a compromise between spool and overall horsepower. You know, this kit, believe it or not, is lower exhaust gas temperatures, lower back pressure, lower intake air temps. This is stressing your engine less than this.
Really? Oh, that's because you're forcing so much through that smaller straw.
Yeah, or even the stock one for that matter. We see lower EGTs with this setup than we see with that setup, because we're not just wringing every last ounce out of it with this, like we are with these. We're able to say, we'll run this thing at 80% capacity, and that's enough to keep it, stock motor together. So, the people always say that, like, whoa, George, you're gonna put 750 horsepower through your stock car? Well, I mean, it sounds a lot scarier than it is. We're running less torque than you are now. We're running less EGT, less back pressure, richer lambda values. It's a safer setup. The only real thing that you can argue maybe is that we're revving the engine a little bit higher. But for me, that's not a big deal, because these engines, we've taken them apart, we've seen the architecture of them. It doesn't bother me the least bit. All of these engines, they share parts with cars that rev a lot higher. So there's not a lot of difference between the rocker in your car and the rocker in a Gallardo or a Huracan.
You hear that? It's coming after you. Coming.
So, we have a red line at 7,000 RPM or 6,800 on the stock car because that turbo just isn't going to breathe above there. But it's not because the cylinder head can't take it.
So let me ask you now, so obviously we have limitations with every setup as it comes to be, but now the limitation is no longer the turbo when it comes to full frame. Now you're going to be limited on what the motor can output. So what kind of packages do you offer for someone like Mr. Lusk over there, who's going absolutely crazy to really get the true potential out of this kit?
Yeah, so how we're going to decide where we're going to cap power at is, we're systematically going through torque levels and trying to decide how much torque these engines can take. I mean, being very frank with you, my engine will have a rod through it at some point. That block will be windowed because I want to know. I want to know
where those limits are.
I want to know where the limit is.
Got it.
And so what we'll do is right now we're capping it at 500 wheel torque, just like your car is. It's very proven. Tons of cars run at that level. We'll run that for a few thousand miles, do it in a few track events, and then we'll turn it up. We'll see what 530 wheel torque does. We'll run that for a couple more months, a few track events. We'll see what 560 does. We'll see what 600 does if it will take it. We'll find that limit so that folks like yourself don't have to find it.
That's awesome, and that comes to a convenience for a lot of us that are paying really, really good money. And then that just goes to say very, very, I hate to say that puts it in a nutshell, but the craftsmanship and the artisanship that goes into these kits and the willingness of these companies to kind of put these to the limits so customers don't have to learn that. Like other companies have had failures with their turbo kits, with their issues with their software. You actually got a company, you got a guy, you got a family here that are actually standing behind their product and they're actually testing their stuff. Like, I won't lie to you, I've been knocking on his door now for the last maybe 2 or 3 months for this kit. 3 months. He could have easily just had me come in and install it very quickly, prototype stuff, test software, and he did. He's been testing and beating the crap out of his car now for quite some time. As you guys saw in the recent track event, what his car was doing before he even lets a customer touch it. So I won't lie to you, thank you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have this turbo kit on the car. As you guys see, there's a lot of different options for guys of all different types of tastes. So whether you want to make a little bit more power with just some software and stage 2 plus parts, you want to make hybrid power, you want to make insane power, Iroz Motorsports and Hank and his team are where you got to go for the inline 5 stuff. Hank, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate this. This has been an awesome breakdown. Thanks for letting me drive your car. I know you didn't really trust me because the last time I kind of tapped the curb on mine the day after I went stage 2. But thank you. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. This has been fun, and I can't wait to see what my car does in the next couple of weeks and what we can do at the roll racing events. Roll racing events, we're coming after you. I got custom license plates coming, and I haven't really released what they're going to say on the license plate, but when they come in, we'll be announcing that, and it will be at the roll racing event. Anyway, Hank, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure. Oh, for those of you guys looking to pick up something, whether you're going stage 2, downpipe, mid-pipe, intercooler, completely nuts, you visit Hank's website, or you shoot him an email, and you let him know Malaka Motorsports sent you, and they'll take care of you. A little extra special, little feta cheese on the side. Anyway, guys, I'm George from Malaka Motorsports. This is Hank. Thank you again. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Let's go faster.
Yeah, let's definitely go fucking faster.
Yeah.